And great, Adam's here. Okay, welcome everybody to the January statewide meeting of the Maryland Forward Party. Today is January 9th, 2024. Welcome to a brand new year. Happy New Year, everybody. We have had an amazing 8 months, and things are going to get much more interesting over the near future. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is welcome some new supporters. So if you are here for the first time tonight, and I know there are several of you, or even if you've been here, once before ages ago and haven't spoken up in a long time and we don't remember who you are, we'd all love to hear from you. Just go ahead and put your hand up and we'll call on you. And we'd like to know where you're from or what brought you to Forward or what state or local issues are important to you. And, don't forget to say your name and anything else you'd like to tell us about you. We got about 10 minutes for this section. We want to hear who you are. So, Zach.
Hey everyone, sorry I can't be on camera right now. I'm just in between stuff right now. But I'm Zach Buster. I haven't been to a meeting in a little while, but I supported the Forward Party in the past, and I support the Forward Party because I believe in an end to this two-party duopoly where people don't really get a choice and there's not really a range of opinions. And a little bit about myself: I'm from Glen Burnie. I'm the student body president at AACC, and yeah.
Great, thank you, Zach. Good to see you again. And you're right, it has been a while and we're looking to get you more involved. So maybe things are calming down at school and you can get back in. Laura. You have to take yourself off mute, dear.
Sorry, I lost the... Anyway, yeah, my name is Laura and I'm a retired public health service officer. Worked at NIH for 30 years. I live in Frederick in Ashwanee's district. So it'll be interesting to speak with him tonight. I've just encountered Meetup actually in the last month, and I'm really excited by it. And I don't know anything about the Forward group. So I'm here tonight to find out more about it and how maybe I can help shape some politics in the area.
That's great. And I'm in Frederick too. I don't know where you are. I'm in Spring Ridge. So you're welcome to email me at any time and we can have a nice
great walker stuff.
Go out for coffee or something like that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Anybody else want to introduce themselves this evening? All right. Yes, Tara. Tara, you had your hand up? No? Okay. I realize I neglected to introduce myself this evening. I'm Matt Byers. I am the chair of the Maryland Forward Party, and several of your board members are here on the call as well. Brandon, PJ, Dave, Michael, we're all your board members, and we welcome you this evening. And if you have any questions, we are always more than willing to answer them. So let's dive into it. Since our last meeting, we had some very interesting things go on. We had, looks like Tara's back. Good. Year-end volunteer appreciation party. So those volunteers that participated throughout the year, we had a nice party, and then they got a preview of what's coming up for next year, for this year, and we're going to give you some of that tonight as well. And then just earlier last week, we had the legislative working session with 14 different legislators from across Maryland at various levels. And PJ's going to tell you some more about that in a little bit. And we had our book club, Anatomy of Peace. And Brandon, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, we have a couple of people on who joined us Sunday night. It's a wonderful book, highly recommended. A lot of great stories and insight into the anatomy of peace. It also, to me, was like basically went into detail of the root cause of most of human conflict, really, and it really starts with ourselves. So yeah, highly recommended book, and we had a great deep discussion Sunday night.
Great. All right. So what else is on the agenda this evening? Well, our guest this evening is Ashwani Jain, who is running for Maryland 6th. And a little bit of background on Ashwani. Do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want me to read this slide?
I mean, I'll defer to you. I'm, if you give me a time limit, I'm happy to introduce myself as well.
Go ahead. I know you're more than willing to talk, and I don't need to introduce you. This is Ashwani Jain, folks. So I'm going to turn off the slides so that Ashwani can talk to you directly. And let's see, stop presenting. Okay, go ahead, Ashwani.
All right, great. Well, Matt, thank you so much, and welcome to all the new members. I was honored to get an affiliation and support from the Forward Party Maryland. So super excited and honored to uphold a lot of those values on the campaign trail. But for those of you who don't yet know me, my name is Ashwani Jain. I'm a 34-year-old son of immigrants and small business owners, a product of Maryland public schools. I'm a published author. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm a resident of the 6th District. I've also worked in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors, and have one of the most expansive federal experience of anyone in this particular race, which includes working in President Obama's White House, the U.S. Department of Health, and the U.S. Department of Housing. And I'm running for Congress, not just to be Maryland's first millennial or first Asian ever elected, but really because I have specific policy solutions that I think will open up the doors of opportunity for all of our communities. And so I'm happy to find time to chat with anyone. I didn't want to monopolize the conversation, but I'm honored to be here. Thank you all for the work you all are doing, for the activism, and for really pushing the idea of genuine politics, sincerity, and public service forward.
Yeah, great. Okay, so this is your time, folks. We brought Ashwani on for you to ask questions. We're excited to affiliate with him. He's a really great guy, and we had really good discussions about what it meant to affiliate with Forward, including the pledge that Ashwani signed. If you haven't seen our pledge, please go to our website and see the pledge. It's pretty extensive. It talks about how he and other candidates that we endorse will engage with the community and engage with other candidates. And we feel that it elevates the status of the candidate, and not just for themselves, but for the status of the candidates within politics as well. We're trying to change the way that we do politics. And so that pledge we think is really important. So we encourage you to go there and read that pledge, as well as everything else on the website. Who's got a question for Ashwani? Jacob, please.
Yeah, where do you stand on AIPAC? Do you pledge to do everything in your power to outlaw all political action committees?
Yeah,
So that
thank you.
there's no foreign influence.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but thank you so much for that question, Jacob. So I'll answer that in a couple different ways. One, as it relates to AIPAC, I have refused donations from AIPAC. And as because I think this ties into the conflict that's going on in Gaza. I was the first, and I think one of the only candidates, definitely the first candidate in my race that has been advocating for a ceasefire, as well as a two-state solution and conditioning military aid based on upholding humanitarian law. I don't think that is a controversial statement, but as we've seen, it is a very touchy subject for most. But I've been very vocal and very clear on that stance. I've also, as a candidate, we refuse money from every corporation and PACs of any kind. I also do not host fundraisers. We fundraise, but we don't mandate payment in order for individuals, residents, and voters to meet me as a candidate or as a hopeful elected official. And I've also supported efforts, if and when I do get elected, to ban members of Congress and their spouses from trading or owning stocks. And again, really getting money out of politics is one of my top priorities. So So hopefully that answers your question, but
No,
you can
you
also go to
didn't
my,
answer, you didn't answer my question.
oh,
I
I'm sorry.
said, do you pledge to do everything in your power
Mhm.
to outlaw all political action committees, lobbyists,
Mhm.
especially APAC, one of the biggest ones that dominate our political system,
Mhm.
exerting foreign influence, interference in our elections? That was the question. Yes
Mhm.
or no?
Yeah, short answer is yes. I've also supported the
Okay,
Disclose
second
Act,
question.
which is currently in Congress, which requires organizations as well who spend money on elections, whether they're foreign or domestic, to disclose who those donors are.
That's not good enough.
Because I agree with this idea of making sure that voters have transparency and truth in the decision-making process.
Do you pledge to overturn, to do everything in your power to overturn Citizens United?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ashwani and Jacob. Let's let somebody else ask a question. Mike.
Sure. So Ashwani, I'm the member of the board, so it had lots of conversations with you. So if anyone else has any questions, please feel free to hop in. A lot of political points I disagree with you on, but that is besides, and I think that's the feature of Forward Party is we can have those political disagreements as long as we talk about it, and that's fine. But the thing that really had you stand out was how you run your campaign. I think so for the people here who are new, might not have had a chance to really get to know you too much. Would you mind just kind of explaining how your theory of the case on how you run your campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll also start by touching on your first point, which is, and I think that's the beauty of Forward, is that we have an expansive group of individuals, right, working together, Democrats, Republicans, independents, those who are not even registered, right? And I think that's how we start to get better candidates. We get better elected officials who actually represent the residents and voters of whatever district that they are in. And then we, again, start to focus on specific policy solutions. So I agree with that. In terms of the way we're running the campaign, so my campaign is 100% volunteer run and crowdsourced. So what that means is we intentionally do not have any staff or any consultants. It is all run directly between me and the residents of the 6th district. So this is an expansive group of volunteers and other residents that we meet along the way, who are everyone from small business owners to students, retirees, and everyone in between. So every policy that you see, every graphic, every event that we attend, any decision that I make, I set together what kind of my morals and my ethics and kind of what I believe needs to be done. And then I essentially host mini town halls every single day throughout the campaign, where we crowdsource those decisions and actually speak and give a real seat at the table to those who are going to be impacted by any decision that I would make as an elected official. A lot of times, candidates or elected officials don't have these town halls or engage residents until after they're elected. And even then, it's very hard to get a hold of them directly. But we've tried to change that narrative. And any volunteer, any resident gets direct access to me as a candidate. Any email or text message that someone gets from our campaign comes directly from me. And we still have a winning campaign because we have fulfilled all of the different staff functions that a campaign requires with a team of dedicated volunteers. So we open up that process, engage more people in it, and are a much more sustainable operation, where we're able to do a lot more with a lot less financial resources and are not just tied in by the money that typically prevents campaigns from moving forward or sucks up all of their time.
Terrific. Laura, I'll get to you in a second. We have a question in the chat. So Zach asks, as the Forward mantra states, not left, not right, but forward. On a philosophical level, how do you think you will balance your fairly progressive policy stance and the independent center philosophy of Forward?
Yeah, and obviously I'm running in the Democratic primary, and obviously I do have some policies that are very progressive. But what I will say is the reason why I also have been getting support of independent and some Republican voters that we're canvassing and meeting throughout the district is because, number one, I actually back up every single policy with details. It's not just a generic talking point, or if you go to my website, it's not just 2 sentences like you see most candidates on either side have. You go to my website, we have fleshed out policies that are in depth that talk about the cost of these initiatives and how we're going to pay for it as well. So having those detailed policies, talking about the economic impact of it, and again, not having these policies written by consultants, but actually written by the residents on the ground, I think is one way that I'm able to, again, branch out outside of the specific party. And number 2, it's also making sure that at the end of the day, you show up. And so I spend 90% of my time not fundraising like other candidates do, but actually canvassing, meaning going door to door in every single county across the 6th district with my volunteers and actually knocking on voters' doors and not just asking them for money, but saying, hey, I'm here to help you. What issues do you care about? How can we work together? So I think that approach, which again is one of the great approaches of Forward, that approach, that mentality is what I apply every day on the campaign. And not only is it the right thing to do, not only is it getting us a lot of engagement, but it also helps us have a winning campaign, right? We have more volunteers than any other candidate in this race. And we've done a lot with just less than $10,000, what others have needed $100,000 or more to accomplish. So the strategy is, again, not just a feel-good strategy, it wins elections, and it's showing that we have a strong field operation to back it up.
Wonderful. Thank you. Laura, you had a question.
Actually, my question was answered, but having worked 30 years in government, trying to do things by committee, if I understand, and I probably do not, because I don't really understand the terminology crowdsourcing and how it works practically speaking. But if it is a group of people coming together to design something, I got elephants and parts of elephants and parts of dinosaurs. I mean, it was excruciating. We could get all the information together, how to filter it, how to put it in a format that you can get even minimal agreement on, much less enough agreement to, if you will, pass something, to agree to something. I hope you have a strategy for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely understand that, right? I've worked in a White House and 2 federal agencies, and I've experienced a lot of the backlog, and just in general, being an advocate and organizing in the state of Maryland and others, it is very, very hard to build coalitions, but that's my skill set. And it's not just some theoretical, we're already doing it on the campaign. The fact that we've already garnered, all the support that we've gotten key, endorsements from, for example, even established leaders and folks who are new to the process, folks across the party aisle, voters, residents from the district. And we put together a very strong campaign with a fantastic field and policy operation. It's because of that. It's because I know, how to be really clear in what my ultimate goals are and my values, and then giving people the space and opportunity to actually bring their voices together and have those dialogues, have those conversations. When you build those kinds of coalitions and you have a strong team behind you that understands those values, it's not easy, but that's the job, or at least that's how you start to change that narrative. And we're already starting to do that. And that's the same way that I would govern and manage, in the general election. And then obviously if I have the honor of actually sitting in that position itself.
All right, great. I'm going to go ahead and share again so that we can move on a little bit. But one thought I wanted to leave you with, Eshwani, and please stay around. Maybe there'll be some more questions afterwards. Have you heard of citizens' assemblies yet?
Yes.
So that might be one way to sort of wrangle some of this stuff, decision by jury, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that came up recently, and that was really interesting. But what I loved about your message, what I heard, especially with regard to Zach's question, was more unites us than divides us.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. And that is why we endorsed you. So, all right, moving on. Legislative working session recap. So I'm going to let PJ tell you all about the legislative working session that we just had on January 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see everybody here tonight. My name is PJ Van Nadi. I'm one of the board members, working with everybody here. We tried to pull together in time for the legislative session that's about to start tomorrow in Annapolis. Kind of ahead of that, we wanted to pull together a political cross-section of Maryland as best we could to talk about voting and election reforms in Maryland. So we reached out as we've been expanding our network. We're talking with a lot of people, a lot of elected officials. We pulled together 12 elected officials that are across the political spectrum. We had Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated. We had 3 state delegates, 5 central committee members, and then everybody else was either a county or a city council member, kind of representing their jurisdictions. I think we crossed 8 different counties represented at this event, which was really great. And we talked about some tough and challenging issues. We talked about open nonpartisan primaries. We talked about appointments and whether there should be truly appointments or should we be holding special elections or some other means to create more of a voice for the voters. We also talked about different types of consensus voting, things like ranked choice voting that get a little bit more towards a consensus result. And what was really interesting to us is that we saw these parallels connect across the aisle. We heard Democrats agreeing with Republicans and vice versa. This was a really special group of people who are now going to go into their legislative sessions, into their planning sessions, and start to bring some of these ideas to the table. You kind of need to be in the game to play it. And this was a nice way to connect with this cross section. Any questions about that?
So I just want to emphasize, PJ, it was really quite astounding what we managed to pull off last week, because if you think about it, we've been a political party for 8 months, a year. And we had 14 legislators at the state, city, county level talking to us, willing to talk to us, willing to talk to each other because we were facilitating this discussion. So Forward is growing and is becoming more of a factor in things. And I just want to congratulate you and the rest of the team for having done that, because I think it's really amazing.
And just so everybody knows, what we're starting to look ahead at, kind of springboarding from this session, is to try to reach out to local jurisdictions where we can meet one-on-one in working sessions with local jurisdictions, where we can talk about things like ranked choice voting and how that might help enhance democracy within their voting practices. So that's kind of coming down the road for us, and it's a way for us to be making impact even prior to us getting minor party status.
All right, let's keep going so that we can get everybody out of here on time. So the next thing is what's coming up. We're not going to talk about all the basic stuff about Forward tonight. We've done that several times before, and we're trying not to bore people. But if you do have questions about what Forward is and what we stand for, feel free to, email us, ask me a question. Happy to answer. Any of the board members would be happy to answer. So, annual meeting coming up. We are, by our bylaws, obligated to have an annual meeting. And so we are going to have our annual meeting this January 27th. So we have to have it in the first month of the fiscal year. And so in case you didn't catch that, we do have bylaws and we do follow our bylaws. So it's going to be at the Norbeck Country Club. It'll be January 27th. It'll be 2 to 5 p.m. Everybody is welcome. There is a $10 cover charge for coffee and tea because we have to rent the space. So, you'll get coffee and tea. And there's libations afterwards on your own dime if you want to stay, because it is a country club. So of course there's a bar. But more importantly, what are we going to do there? We are going to hold our officer elections. So our board was elected back in April, and we're adding members through our bylaw process. But our officers on the board get elected every year. And so we're going to do that in January according to the bylaws. And then I'm going to go over what we did this past year. So an annual review, and then we're going to have our strategic planning session. We are going to talk about where we're going and how we're going to get there and what we need help to do it. And so it's going to be, this is your opportunity to weigh in on where we should go, what we should do, and how we get there. And we want you all there. So please come out, join us. We're going to have a good time, and we'll see you there. Other things coming up. So we've been talking a couple of months now about the pep talk idea, the prioritizing epic problems. This is one of Pete Okay's favorite, Pete Oliver Kruger favorite topics, and he has hooked up with Fitzgerald Mofer, another one of our endorsed candidates, who's running for the Montgomery County Board of Education. And we are going to have a premier pep talk. So the first one ever run by Maryland Forward Party in conjunction with Fitzgerald Mofer. It'll be at the 7425 MacArthur Boulevard on the 2nd of March from 4 until 6. This is a really cool way to not talk about solutions, but talk about problems and talk about how we prioritize those problems. And then maybe once we prioritize those problems, then we can start talking about solutions. Everybody wants to run to the solution without actually understanding the problem first, and that actually creates more problems than it solves. So this is a way to sort of solve the problem by understanding what the problems are. So please come out to that. It's on our website as well. Additional upcoming events. Andrea Crooms, you met Ashwani tonight. Andrea Crooms is running for Maryland 5th Congressional District. Her kickoff is on January 11th. I will be there in person, and I'll be giving a little talk of some sort. It'll be a lot shorter than this talk, I can promise you that. And so come out and join us. That's also on the website. It'll be at the Watkins Park Nature Center, 6 o'clock this week, so Thursday night. Howard County Motorcycle Swap Meet and Bike Show. We're going to be out on the 28th. We're going to be collecting signatures. This will be a fun event. You want to come out to the motorcycle swap and take a look at what kind of bikes people have and, you know, all that kind of good stuff. Come out and meet us and say hi. I believe it's about $10 to get into the meet, but it should be a good time. And then looking forward to February, we're going to have we're going to be at the Maryland Kennel Club, also at the Howard County Fairgrounds, doing another signature collection event. And if you want to come out and help with that, we'd love to have you anytime. So looking forward a little bit, Bill, did you want to talk about volunteer opportunities?
Thanks, Matt. So Bill Stewart, and let me apologize up front that for some reason my camera's decided not to talk to my computer tonight. So I'm voice only. So my role is to help folks who have some interest in the Forward Party, see if there's some areas that you would be interested in volunteering to help us, and where we need some help, and trying to find some win-win things that are of interest to you that can really help us. So if any of the folks that aren't already involved on the call tonight are interested, let me know. You can do that. You can push the raise your hand button. You could send me a note in comments. I'm about to post in comments my email address, so just send me a note. So any one of those three ways, just let me know and I'll reach out to you. And let's see if there's anywhere that you're interested in that could help us out. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Bill. And Bill's been doing a great job at calling all of our new contacts and trying to get them to be volunteers. And I set him a very high bar goal of 200 active volunteers over this next year. That's 16 per month on average. And I set him a goal of helping us set up 23 counties. So that's a lot of work. but we need your help to do it. So it's really not as hard as it sounds. It's a lot of fun. You'll find that the people that you work with are really cool and really knowledgeable, and they'll help you learn. So if you don't know anything about what you're doing, that's okay. I certainly didn't know anything when I started, and then these guys made me chair. So I'm not sure why still, but that's okay. We've got other opportunities to do pep talks. So if you think it's a really cool idea to solve or to organize problems and then solve them, we'd love it if you wanted to host a pep talk. We're going to start looking at library tours about Forward. That'll be coming up in the near future, and we're doing more candidate recruitment. So if you have a candidate that you think needs to hear the message of Forward, send them our way.
If you're just not sure if you want to get involved, let's just talk. Okay. And if it's something that not right for you right now, that's fine. But if you have any interest, let's explore it and see if there's something that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it could be a 5-hour commitment. It could be a 1-hour commitment. This is per week I'm talking. It could be a 20-hour a week commitment. Whatever works for you. Remember, we are a volunteer organization, and so we respect the fact that you're volunteers, and we're not going to demand more than you can provide. So you set your limits and do what you can. But I think you'll quickly find that once you get involved, you'll want to do more. And that's up to you. So one of the fun and interesting things we're going to do this year is a fundraising campaign. And Mike, did you want to talk about this at all, or did you want me to do it for you because your voice is not good?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick once over of and then have Matt kind of fill in anything I might have missed. So fundraising campaign. Unfortunately, it takes money to be able to fund our day-to-day operations, and to be able to do things that we want to do, especially collect signatures. We have to pay to be at events to collect the signatures. It's going to take a good amount of money, so we need to get really serious about fundraising and get there. So we are setting up a dedicated campaign to be able to fund our signature collection fund, as well as get social media and get the social media campaign and everything, and tools that we need to get the message out and be able to kind of drive us towards the finish line of getting, or towards the start line, really, of becoming a political party here in Maryland. As part of that, it's going to kind of be a branded thing. The current plan is build your political home. If you have any other ideas, please shout them out, because that's kind of the niceness on top that we can change at any time. However, it works with the Forward message as well. And then Matt, if you have anything else to add,
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's recovering from an illness. Poor Mike. So we're going to be unveiling donation levels at the annual meeting, and we're going to be talking about pledges and ways that people can help raise money by doing matched pledges. And so that'll be fun and interesting. Why do we need this money? Okay, you all are probably looking at me like you just asked me for money, and I hate it when people ask me for money. Yes. Our message, just a moment, Jacob. Our message is about changing the way we do politics in Maryland. And to do that, we need to become a recognized political party. And to become a recognized political party so that we can run candidates and change the way we do politics in Maryland, as Forward candidates, we need to collect signatures. We need to collect a minimum of 10,000 signatures. And the parties that be are going to attempt to eliminate some of our signatures so that we don't get our party status. So we're actually aiming for 17,500 signatures. Over the past 8 months, we've been able to collect about 1,200 of them. And that's doing 30 some odd events. And that's a small group of volunteers working as hard as they can doing a ton of different events, but we're volunteers. And so this is going to take much longer than we can, than we have by ourselves. So what's the solution? It's paid signature collected. And so we have that in plan, and we'd like to make it a reality. And so we're going to try to do a fundraising campaign to get that goal. And in concert with that, we'll do the social media, which will bring the message to more people. And that'll bring more money in, and things will roll along. So all of this is going to get talked about at the annual meeting in detail. So please come to the annual meeting, and we'll talk about it there. Jacob, you have a question?
Yeah, where can one go to see a list of all the things that the Forward Party wants to accomplish if their candidates are elected? What exactly, in precise, exact terms, what are the things that the Forward Party wants to change
Okay, so we have
or implement?
Sorry. I interrupted you. Finish your sentence, please.
I just said change or implement. What policies, what exactly does the Forward Party want to do?
Okay, so we have three main goals at the moment. One is voting reform.
Just three main goals?
Three
Okay.
main goals. And,
No, voting reform doesn't say anything.
okay, well, if you
Be
let me finish,
specific,
Jacob,
or just put it in the link and I'll look it up.
you can look on the website anytime
Put it
you
in the
like.
chat. I mean,
You go to www.marylandforwardparty.com,
Okay.
and we've got
That's
all of
where
our
to go?
values and our goals and everything there.
okay, but it's spelled out, right? Not just saying voting reform. That doesn't say.
Mike, can you put the link in the chat, please?
No, I see something in the chat where it
Okay.
says priorities. So that's where to go.
Yes.
But you spell it out clearly. And only three things? There's so much that needs to be done. Only three.
So the way we're doing things is different, Jacob, and that's actually kind of the point. So we have three priorities that we're aiming for as a party, and we're going to be setting.
But there's so much to be done. Why
Yes.
why limit it to three?
Jacob,
Matt, can I jump in for a sec?
yes, please.
So, Jacob, one way of kind of that we've been explaining this is that we're actually structurally different from the two major parties. Like right now, the two major parties are very policy based in their organization. You know, I believe in this set of policies, therefore I belong with this group of people. What we're trying to do is separate values from policy at Maryland Forward Party. So what we've done is create a value system. And so long as candidates and ourselves agree to those values, then we actually don't care if candidates lean liberal, moderate, or conservative with their policies, because in theory, we're all backing it up with the same values. And those values are listed in our candidate pledge on our website. And then those values are all based on three main pillars. And so everything we do, any policy will eventually come down to those three main pillars. And that's free. Oops, I muted myself, sorry. Free people, thriving communities, and vibrant democracy. Now, those are intentionally short and sweet, so we can rip them off in an elevator. But what that means to us is free people, we want every person to be able to rise to their highest level of potential. And so we want to remove barriers from that happening. With our thriving communities, we want to have safe environments for our families to grow up, strong education systems, and we want a local, vibrant economy. And then with vibrant democracy, that's where these three priorities come into. And that's where we think every voice that wants to participate in this process should have an opportunity to be heard. And so that's where the priority is.
But what's not listed here is Citizens United.
Sorry, what was that?
I notice, I'm looking at your priorities, I'm all for it, but you don't mention Citizens United.
No, because that's a
And you
policy,
don't mention
Jacob.
APAC, you don't mention political action committees.
No, we do not. Those are
You
all
don't mention
policies. Okay.
lobbying,
Okay.
which is a menace
We're
to
going to
our
move on.
electoral system. You don't mention delegates.
Okay, we're going to move on. We can discuss this in more detail at an individual level, but I don't think this is really the forum to do that right now. So the point being, back to the fundraising campaign, to become a recognized political party, we need to raise sufficient funds that we can get signature collection so that we can become the recognized political party and run candidates. And so that is the primary goal of the campaign. All right. Other things we're working on: continued partnerships with an expanded network. We're continuing to talk to state delegates. We're continuing to talk to city and county council persons, as PJ mentioned before. We've actually got 1 or 2 city and or county information sessions set up, and hopefully more, where we talk about who we are and what we are, and RCV. We're working with Fair Vote. We're working with RCV Maryland, and we're also working with the other forward communities across the area. And so there's lots of opportunity here for you to bring in other folks and contribute to the conversation. Like I've said before, we always want to hear from you guys. Maybe not in a public forum like this, where we don't want to have an argument in a public forum. So I'm sorry, Jacob, if I cut you off. That your voice is important, and it needs to be heard. And I want to hear it, but I want to give everybody else, the respect of their time as well. And so you and I can have a private conversation, or you and PJ, whoever you choose to have the conversation with, we can have that conversation offline. And that is a welcome and needed conversation. So we have our email address up here on the website, up here on the screen, and our website, MarylandForwardParty.com. And if you'd like to volunteer with us, there's a URL there. Sorry, I'm a little flustered. I apologize. Does anybody have any questions? I would love it if somebody would ask me a question I can actually answer.
No, I just wanted to jump in. This is, it's really exciting right now. It's 2024. We're heading into an election cycle. I think everybody here probably knows, but just to make sure everybody's clear, Forward Party is not supporting a presidential candidate at this time. Instead, we're really focusing on this bottom-up approach. We really believe that building this from the local level up is going to help build a system that's self-sustaining over time and not burn out with an election cycle. We also don't want to be a dangerous distraction in a really important presidential election. So we're here to support local candidates and support Maryland at its core. And we're excited about that. We think there's a lot of energy building and a lot of opportunity to do some great things here. Any questions about activities in your communities or in your neighborhood? Well, it looks like we have a couple questions.
Yeah. Laura? She's muted again.
Yeah, Laura, you're muted.
There she is.
Is your goal to become a bona fide political party to compete within a 3-party system then?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, there's already two other recognized parties in Maryland at the moment.
Mhm.
So the Libertarian and the Green Party are recognized, I
Yeah.
believe. And so that would be a 5-party system.
Do
And-
you, yeah. Are you trying to be a real contender or like the Green Party?
Well, the hope is that we're a real contender. I mean, that's
Okay.
why we're putting all this time and effort into it. But we also feel that by instituting voting reforms such as ranked choice voting or something of that ilk, and nonpartisan primaries where independents can participate
Yeah.
in the primary process, that we can really change the way that people are able to do politics. Ranked choice voting means that people have to appeal to their second choice as well. So even if you're not somebody's first choice, as a candidate, you have to go up to them and say, "Hey, I'd really like your second choice vote," which encourages people to be nicer to each other, and people to listen to each other. And nonpartisan primaries would give a voice to all of the independent candidates, of which there are 20% of the people in Maryland who are registered independents that do not get a vote in the
Mhm.
primary system. So we think those two things together will change the way that politics are done in Maryland.
Thank you.
That is what I was trying to say earlier.
Gave you your chance.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Adam, did you have a question?
Yeah, mostly I just wanted to hear more about how the legislative session went, and if that's going to be kind of a regular thing. I think that's just extraordinary, without even being a political party yet, that you're able to attract legislators and have a productive session. That's amazing.
Yeah, PJ, did you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. We are planning to do a follow-up session with the same group, and the hope is that it'll continue to grow, that this group of this kind of coalition of leaders will continue to grow. We're scheduling it for after the state legislative session finishes, as a way to kind of do a recap. And we're hoping to do these kind of one-on-one sessions during the next 3 months here. So we want to kind of do these working sessions over the next couple months and then pull it back together as a recap and kind of see where we stand, what kind of connections we made, where we did talk about potential roadblocks that lay ahead.
Mhm.
We talked about those roadblocks through the lens of solutions, though. As a team, how can we start to pool our resources, develop allies or partnerships to kind of get around those obstacles?
Excellent. I'm curious at some point too, if once kind of the pep talks get going and are shaken out a bit, if there'll be a good opportunity to combine these sorts of things. But one step at a time.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Love that.
All right. So exciting things coming, and hope to see you all at the annual meeting on the 27th. And if anybody has any other questions, comments, or concerns, please email us. I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off, and then anybody can stay as long as they like. Thank you all.